All righty. Welcome in day one of the Financial Literacy Challenge. Going to give it a minute or two to let people jump on. We're going live at 4 Pacific, 7 East Coast. We're sending out some notifications, letting people know that we're here, that it's starting. We got about 60 seconds. What I love is this ability to be able to share a message. And that's what we're going to be doing today and every day of December. We're going to be jumping in. We are going to be challenging you to say, what exactly is your understanding of money? Number one, our mission is to empower you to use money. Number two, the definition of use money is to understand, to strategize, and to be efficient with your money. Number two, we are definitely going to be touching on some football topics, be able to share some of my journey, some of my stories. You see helmets, you see balls and things like that behind me. I welcome those questions. Drop them in the comments. As a matter of fact, let's begin with the question. Anybody have the start? What is a good question that you'd like to ask as we give everybody about 2 minutes, and then we're going to start rolling. We're going to go 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes in your finances is going to be how we're going to play the game. You will be able to win money. You'll be able to win cards. You'll be able to win my financial course. You can win books, autographed, whatever you need, whatever you'd like. So start out with a question. I've got plenty, and we can go from there. Anybody got a question to kick it off? Let's see. Indy, Cooper, Ian, what you guys got? You got a question to kick us off today? Sports Biz, welcome in, brother. What's it like going from NFL to a regular Joe? Oh, man, that's a great question. Actually, so we're going to be talking finance and we're going to be talking football. And that football side is some of my stories. What's up, bro? Yeah, Sports Biz. But a lot of it is going to be a series that I delivered to companies called Rookie to Veteran. And that is built around how I went from an average, Joe to an NFL player, but then I translated it off the field. So the hardest part about going from the NFL to a corporate environment, a corporate offering, corporate, workplace, is the idea. Ian's just here to observe. All right, no worries. Welcome in. The idea that nobody claps for you. I worked in a cubicle my first couple months and just really sat in and realized hey, you know what the biggest bummer here is? I don't hear applause anymore. That's a humbling realization. It sounds super conceited, but when you've lived your life since I was 10 years old, I was always told hey, applause is what you want. Why? Because that's recognition that you're doing your job. It's recognition that you can keep your job. So I would say the hardest part from transitioning away from the NFL, becoming an average person, and I don't like to say it like that, but the NFL is a pretty dream kind of atmosphere and world. I would say losing that applause, losing the audience, losing the crowd, losing the identification that I have a consistent sense of purpose. That was what the audience did for you on a daily. That's what your coaches did. That's what your team did. Was I knew exactly where and what I was supposed to be doing based on that idea of applause. So that I think would be one of the biggest ones. I don't know how to scissor drop the album. Scissor drop the album, like it. Love it. I'm a personal finance major. What college? Because I'm always interested in what colleges are actually offering personal finance. We have a course that is actually going on college campuses across the country. Super proud of that course. Last question I saw was, when was the last time I was in Pullman? Proud Coug, Washington State University. So last time I was in Pullman was last spring. I always go back. I'm actually teaching my personal finance course right now virtually to Carson College at Washington State. So yeah, technically I'm an adjunct professor, University of Wisconsin. That's one of the few. It's one of the very few. So cool, very cool there. SZA dropped the album. Love that. All right. So what we're here to do is, I know you guys want to win some money. We're going to be giving away money every day. We're going to be giving away playing cards. If you are interested in that, I can sign those, send them to you. My book, Money Vehicle, we'll give some of those away, autographed. And people like SZA dropped the album. Understand personal finance is a crazy journey, and everybody needs to be taking it. So we can also give you access to the course, which is going still on a Cyber Monday. Man, we had a great amount of sales yesterday for Cyber Monday because the course was half off. For y'all, we'll keep it at half off for a couple more days in December. Oh, snap. Witty 51 says, we were back in accounting class together. Beta Alpha Psi brothers, the accounting fraternity. Go Cougs. That's awesome. That's what's so cool about this stuff. Well, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. And, welcome any questions. So as you have questions, we have a few people that are going to be joining that are going to be taking those questions. So by all means, hit them up. Today, question 1 is, what retirement system has been going extinct over the last 20 years? And never thought I'd hear about Beta Alpha Psi on here. Well, it's strong. It's strong nationwide. So that is going to be the first part. The winner today is going to be a 3-part as we go through 3 different stories. So I love the answers flowing in. Keep those. Remember, we're going to be 15 minutes. We'll get out of here by today. We got a 5-minute intro. So we're going to be about 15, 20 minutes each day. I love the idea of 15 minutes in personal finance. So what I wanted to share was a quick story around how I understand and teach this kind of topic. So I was a big dumb football player, as most of you know, and what I wanted to do was begin to see this language of money like the wealthy. How do they understand it? What do they know that I don't know? That is really what I was after. And so as I began to look at it, I began to see the train industry and the car industry. So rewind about 100 years, the train industry was the dominant form of transportation in our country. 100 years ago, 50 years ago, if you were to go on a cross-country trip, if you were to go to see your cousins, you're going out to dinner, you were more than likely going to take the train to get there. What was really neat was it took a long time to build the train tracks, but once they were built, all you had to do was get in, sit down, and the conductor would take you exactly where you were supposed to go. Now, what happened was Henry Ford, as we all know, in the early 19th century, came out and invented the Model T, the personal automobile. No longer did it take a long time to build train tracks. They were whipping those things off the conveyor each and every day. So not only was it not taking a long time to build, but now instead of sitting down on a train track, you were sitting in your personal automobile and you had the autonomy and the power to take it where you wanted to go. This analogy that a lot of people push back on me and say, Jed, we're here to talk about money, man. I got trains, cars. Did you just talk about Henry Ford? Yes. I love this analogy, and that is what I am hoping to be able to do is take this language of money and build a story around it so people can understand what exactly is happening through a story. And you're going to hear a ton of them as we do these sessions every day. Why I love this analogy is that train industry that took a long time to build, but once built would take you exactly where the conductor wanted you to go. That train industry, as some of you have guessed, is called pensions. Pensions are like the train industry. Pensions would be one person sitting in a single company for a long time, 20, 30, 40 years. And then upon retirement, they would get to ride off into the sunset and they would go exactly where the company told them to go. No different than that train conductor. Long time to build, and then it would take you to a predetermined destination. That has been disrupted by the personal automobile, which in this case is going to be your personal investment accounts. This could be a brokerage account, could be bank accounts, could be a 401k, an IRA, a Roth account, HSA, donor advised fund. It could be a 529 plan. There are a ton of vehicles, personal vehicles out there, but we wanted to just focus on this idea, this concept. The pension system has gone extinct, and the idea of the personal automobile is here today. Not only does it not take as much time as the train industry, which is an advantage, but it also gives you the autonomy. You sit in the driver's seat of your money vehicle, hence the name, hence our company business. But you sit in the driver's seat of your money vehicle and you have the autonomy to take it exactly where you want to go. So that is the origin of where this journey began for me, and where I wanted to begin the conversation with you all is, first and foremost, as we go through the 10 questions of a financial journey, the first one is going to be, why do you even care about money? Why you care about money is because if you are not driving your money vehicle, who is? Who is directing you where you're going to go on this financial journey? And yes, Ian points out that defined contribution pension plans are still around, but they are much more rare. That is the point. Over 95% of pensions have gone away. Why is this? And that's a question I get a lot. Well, what happened? Why the shift? Why the change? And this is something I want you to understand. Ian, I love that point out, and you're absolutely right. There are still some. Go join the military, become a professor or a teacher, become a policeman or fireman or firewoman. All of those still have pension systems. The NFL still has a pension system. But why companies shifted away from it is because of the future liability. Because too many people were living too long that they predicted, they looked into the future and began to say, I don't know if I want to pay Ian or Dustin or Serafina. I don't want to pay them when they're 70, 80 years old. That's too much of an expense. Why? How can we push that off of our balance sheets onto their balance sheets? That is the idea of the personal automobile. Even some of the police departments are no longer doing pensions. My dad was one of the last to get it. That is interesting. Thank you, Alex. Alex is saying even one of the Go Cougs, by the way, love it. Go Cougs. But even one of the most dependable, one of the reasons people went into this line of work, not only just the public service, but the idea of a great retirement plan has been going extinct. Companies wanted to push the liability. People weren't working at one company, corporate company, for 30, 40 years anymore. They were bouncing around. So companies didn't want to be on the hook for those pension plans and those programs. So that is the main reason why pensions have been going extinct, is because companies saw the idea of the financial lens to it and wanted to push that liability onto you, the individual. And that's why college students, high school students getting their first jobs, they're not going to be offered a pension. They're going to be offered the 401k, or if you don't work at a traditional company, you are going to be offered the idea of an IRA or possibly a Roth account. We're going to talk about that here in a few. So the answer to question number one, why do you care, is because if you are not driving your personal automobile, if you are not sitting in the driver's seat of your money vehicle, who is? So you need to care. You need to learn this language of money, because nobody is going to be taking care of you down the road. This idea of retirement also needs to be retired. Nobody's going to get 66 and just right off into the sunset. Not only because pensions, also another government pension annuity system called Social Security is not going to be as dependable. So neither of those are going to be as dependable. But as you hit 66 with the full retirement age nowadays, that idea is going away. We're all going to live until we're 90 or 100. I worked in wealth management for a long time. Financial institutions, financial advisors are starting to extend their plans. It used to be 90. Now you're talking to clients about 95 or 100. I'm not going to live to be 100. I played in the NFL. I played football for 20 years. Like, my body's going to break down in about 30 minutes. But for most of you on here, one of you is going to see 100. There's somebody born today that is going to see 150. That blows my mind. So this idea, rule number one, first step, pensions, Social Security are no longer. You need to retire retirement. I don't even use that word. I use freedom. Why? Because freedom is the ability to choose, and that is what money is truly for. So I also said we're going to be talking about some finances. Drop the questions in the feed. Welcome questions. Welcome. Alabama and Notre Dame are still ranked really, really high. Breaking news from the CFP. But the other side of this is around mindset. And this is something I love to share. I was an undrafted guy. I was cut 12 times. Baker's doesn't. I guess that would be 13. But I really started to look around in this rookie to veteran mindset that I stole. I don't hesitate in saying I stole from watching the best in the world. These are the principles. These are the practices. These are the disciplines I took from getting to walk in and out of 12 different NFL locker rooms. So let me begin by saying this. The idea where we begin the rookie to veteran mindset is with the concept of be a pro. Walked in and out of 12 different NFL locker rooms. Be a pro was in every one of them. The only saying I saw consistently in every locker room, in every field, in every place I went, be a pro. You talk to an NFL player today, you say be a pro, they're going to know exactly what you're talking about. Why? Because it is no longer just a terminology. It is a responsibility. It is, you forgot your assignment, be a pro. You're a comfortable young family and you're a comfortable young family and are suddenly left with almost $2 million. What next? Number one, I would go get an umbrella policy. You have $2 million, you now have a target on your back. But good question. Mike Coleman, we're going to be answering exactly what to do with that $2 million. I will give you a plan. Let's talk on day 7, because that's when we're going to start getting into our financial planning and management. But as you look at this, I want you to understand, be a pro begins with the first step, and that first step is confidence. Why I learned this was because I needed to understand the difference between my internal and my external voice. That is the difference between confidence and cockiness. Every year in the NFL, a new set of rookies gets drafted, walks into the locker room, walks around and starts telling people, man, this is how good I was in college. Man, this is whose contract I'm here to take. I'm going to go start over that guy. That cockiness actually had a negative reaction than the one that they intended it for. Cockiness using your external voice was never going to get people exactly what they wanted. They needed to begin to build their internal voice, the one in between their ears, the one that talks when nobody's around. That is confidence. I learned confidence in Philadelphia, my rookie year. My rookie year sitting in the locker room is one of my favorite stories. How do you feel about MPIs? Ooh, that's a great question. I get that one. That's not a today talk. MPI we will cover. So come back. Ursher. Is that Ursher? So I looked in Philadelphia Eagles locker room. So excited. I was just honored to be around these guys. And directly across from me is the locker for Brian Dawkins, the legend, the myth of Brian Dawkins. He was so good. He was a 15, 20-year player, Pro Bowl player. He played so long in Philadelphia that he didn't just have one, he had 2 lockers. The only guy I ever played with that had 2 lockers in the locker room. He had one for Brian Dawkins, the man, and he had a locker for Brian Dawkins, the mythical creature that identified Weapon X. It didn't say Dawkins above that locker. It said Weapon X. And so as I sat and looked at these 2 lockers, I saw Weapon X's locker, and I saw the figurines of Wolverine. I saw he even had like shirts and costumes and all kinds of crazy stuff, little bitty stuff. I mean, this is a 35-year-old man, Pro Bowler, millionaire, and he has little toys in a locker next to his at work. That just shows you the love he had to go to work every day. But as I looked at that, I saw Dawkins and I saw Weapon X. When we would go out to training camp, we got to put on pads. This was who's got a pistol, who's got a pop gun type of day. We would go into 9-on-7. And for those of you who played football, 9-on-7 is understood. Take the receivers out, take the corners out. Nobody's throwing the ball. Everybody knows we're running the ball. And it is make or break. You know what's coming. I know what's coming. On the first couple of days of training camp, everybody knows there's only like 2 or 3 plays in the playbook, so you know exactly what play is coming in 9-on-7. one of my first play, or it wasn't one of my first plays, but one of the first plays of the day on 9 on 7. I had been doing so well. I'd been performing. I had not given any chance or excuse. I hadn't dropped a pass. I hadn't done it. So I got to actually rep in with the first team. That's how my offseason had been going. How hard is it to fall asleep before and after games? That's a good question. I'm going to write that one down. I'll respond to that one in a second. Good question, Benny. So as I line up, I know on this play, on this assignment, I have the strong safety. And as he rotates down, he's starting to get a little hot, and the snap of the ball, Brian Dawkins starts screaming through the line. And in that moment, I swear to you, I looked up, I did not see Brian Dawkins. I saw Weapon X. I saw a guy with a cape flying out of the clouds, blades coming out of his hands, and I, in that moment, had no confidence. I was looking at the mythical creature, and he knocked me into next Tuesday. That was my last rep with the first team for a couple days in Philadelphia. But as I looked at that, I realized confidence and cockiness are two very different things. I'd been saying I was ready, but I did not believe it. So as you look at this journey, as you look at the financial journey, as you look at your personal journey, what are you confident in? I would love, if you feel ready and confident enough to write it in the answer or write it in the comments, write something you're confident in. Maybe it's something around money. Maybe it's something around a skill you've taken from your team or from a club or from a job. Write where you get your confidence. Maybe it's a place you go or a skill you have. That identification of what you're confident in is not only going to help you in your career, it's going to help you with money too, because our psyche around money begins with confidence. So the first thing you need to understand about today, pensions are going extinct. The second thing is the difference between confidence and cockiness. And Brian Dawkins knocked that interest and that understanding into me. And then the third part, because I want to answer questions. Somebody wrote, was it hard to fall asleep before and after games? The other question I got from James Lemon is unexpected cost as a rookie. So is it hard to fall asleep before and after a game? After a game, it's I like to celebrate. You know, it's funny. Early in your career, you go out after games and you party a lot more, kind of like an extension of college. And then you start getting a little older and you realize, man, I got to recover after games. And you're just so exhausted and beat up, you kind of just, snuggle into a bed and go to sleep. It was extremely hard for me to fall asleep the night before games. So much so that I forced myself to wake up early on Saturdays, so I'd be exhausted by the time Sunday came. The benefit was we typically didn't kick off until 1 o'clock or noon, so you could sleep in the morning to some degree. Like you could sleep in till 8 or 9. What was really hard, even harder than how to fall asleep the night before, was I got to play in New Orleans for 4 years. We had a lot of primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night football, game of the week at 4 o'clock. Those were really hard games. Imagine kicking off at 7 and knowing I have to stay kind of relaxed but focused from 8 o'clock when I wake up till 3 o'clock when I head to the stadium. Those were really draining days. It was kind of a unique atmosphere. Obviously, really cool to play in primetime. If a guy is really struggling, is it common for other players to say something or leave it to the coaches? I would say it would be common for other players. If you are a leader and you have the respect of the team, I wouldn't think it would be too outside, some of the captains I was around to take dudes aside, but never in front of the team. Never, looking at, you're welcome, Benny. Never in front of a group. You never criticize each other, because if you do, you just put a huge target on your back. Now, the coaches have no hesitancy in calling you out in front of the team. So typically, if you were slipping, coaches would call you out to get you quick. But let's be real. This is the National Football League, not for long. You don't slip for very long and go unnoticed. This is not college. This is definitely not high school. If you're slipping, look at Carson Wentz. Dude's making $40 million this year. He's slipping, and they're already talking about replacing him. So nobody really needs to call you out. Your job's at risk every day. It's on you to make sure to keep it going. So the third answer, and then we're going to get the winner of the day, and I'll let you all go. What was the best path to make it to the NFL? Do you like playing CFB more than pro football? I loved playing college. I went to Washington State. The years I were there, we weren't that great, so we didn't have a lot of success. That made it harder to enjoy. The NFL, I actually did get some success, so winning's fun. And so keep these questions coming. We're keeping track of all these questions, and I'm going to be answering. Remember, we're going to go 15 minutes each day in December. New financial tip, new football story, and new rookie to veteran principle. And I'll keep checking out every day. Appreciate it. Okay, so for the winner today, third part of the question, James Lemon asked, what was an unexpected cost as a rookie? This is a silly one. We could talk about rookie dinners. I'll get to that here. What is my job today? So I own a company called Money Vehicle. Good tee up. Appreciate you. I wrote a book, and I'm a financial educator. So I go to colleges, to companies, to high schools, and I teach people about money. It's called Your Money Vehicle. Go check it out, yourmoneyvehicle.com. We got a virtual course that is actually taking off. It's pretty cool. Did you ever have a favorite moment in the NFL? Had many favorite moments in the NFL. Come back. I got many more stories for you. The story today is the unexpected cost. I was undrafted. I was a fullback, so I always participated in the running back group in the room. My unexpected cost that always kind of bothered me because I was a practice squad fullback in a room full of starting and star running backs everywhere I went. As the rookie, I would have to go get the food for away games. Hey, so-and-so wants this, so-and-so wants that. I'd have to take my car, which I was renting at the time, and drive 2 hours to 4 different places because everybody wanted different food, and spend about $200, $250 each week on food for the plane. So these guys could get on a plane that already has food. We'll talk about the plane food here in a couple days. This should be fun. But that was one of the most unexpected costs. And I eventually stood up for myself. I was like, hey, man, can somebody spot me here? Like, I'm spending $200 a week. Y'all are making $2 million. Like, I need the money. So that was an unexpected cost. So for the winner today, you got to answer all three questions. The first, financial, what is the system that is going extinct? The second one, who knocked me into next Tuesday and taught me the difference between confidence and cockiness? And then the third one, money honey, Rachel, I can go grab your book right there. Good to see you. The third one, what was the unexpected cost as my rookie year? Money honey, Social Security, that is part of it. Pension, Brian Dawkins, let's see it. To Brian Dawkins. Here we go. Weapon X. Dinners. All right. SZA dropped the real album. Winner of day one. So we are going to be getting SZA drop the real album. So here we go. I got to get that. SZA dropped the album. SZA dropped the album. All right. So SZA dropped the album is the winner today. We're starting today. It's day one. We're starting with $20. We're going to get that Venmo information. SZA drop. I'm going to get your information. And you know what? I'll follow you too. That's how we're going to probably communicate. So that's a little added on the spot. So I get to, let's go, SZA. So we're going to get a follow. And we're going to get you your money. And each day you tell me what's more interesting. Would you want playing cards signed, a book signed, a free welcome into my course? Or we're always going to be giving out cash here on the spot. And keep track because the big winner, day 30, is going to be somebody who could go through all 30 days and answer the financial question of the day. And you're going to get an extra little bump. Do me a favor. Share with your friends. Share with your signed book, please. John Kim. Come back tomorrow. John will hook you up with the signed book. Appreciate that. Let's get this going. Financial challenge, December, end 2020 with something positive, something productive. Appreciate your time. See y'all tomorrow at 4. Give me a thumbs up or a dap if you enjoyed it. And thank y'all for tuning in. Says it dropped the album. Thank you for today's lesson. John Kim, signing off. See y'all tomorrow. How do I get out? Bam. Oh, snap. Ha. Still going.